All right, we've done it 3 times before, and every time it's been a gas. I'm talking about the greatest television themes countdown. We've done the 60s, we've done the 70s, we've done the 80s. So you know we got to dial up the 90s. And I'm telling you, this is my favorite one yet. These stories are amazing. You know all these themes by heart. We've got one that was recorded over a weekend. It was only 40 seconds long, so a DJ actually looped it a few times, making it a full song. It hit number 1 on 3 charts and made a one-hit wonder, Mega Millionaires. And then there's the anti-theme song. It was made up of a bunch of weird mouth sounds and a synth bass, and the songwriter had to play a unique version for every single episode. And the show was such a hit, he had to do 200 different versions of the same song. And then there was the classic theme that came from the footsteps of 500 Japanese monks on hardwood floors. And there's a rock star who made tens of millions for singing 3 notes. And then there's the eerie theme that came from a frustrated composer sliming his elbow on the keyboard. These are some of the coolest stories about songs I've ever heard. It's next on Professor of Rock, brought to you by Acorns Early. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember this.
I like to teach the world to sing with me.
You're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. I know you'll find something to dig here. We also have our podcast. Check it out on Apple and Spotify. Make sure to give us a great rating. Follow us. Help us get to the top. Man, this one was so much fun to do because there were so many interesting stories. You think it's made up, but it's real. So for today's top 10 TV themes countdown, we're hitting the 90s. The 90s really were the last great decade of TV theme songs. You know, before streaming and skip buttons changed the game altogether. Back then, a theme song told you everything you needed to know about a show before it even got started. Man, what a different time that was. All right, let's get ready to go into nostalgia overdrive. The countdown begins, and now we started off with a show that only lasted 1 season. It was the best show on TV at the time. Like its theme song, it was stellar. At number 10, I've got Joan Jett's Bad Reputation, the theme to the cult classic Freaks and Geeks. Like I said, the show was tragically short-lived. It ran from 1999 to 2000, just barely making it into the decade. This coming-of-age drama was about 2 siblings navigating high school in early 1980s Michigan. Lindsay with the burnout crowd and Sam with the nerds. Created by Paul Feig and produced by Judd Apatow, the series authentically captured the awkward, painful, and funny truths of adolescence so perfectly. Though it only lasted 1 season, Freaks and Geeks earned cult status and launched the careers of stars like James Franco, Seth Rogen, and Jason Segel. And it's only right that a show about a high school outcast in the early 80s would open with a song that flips authority the middle finger. For Freaks and Geeks, Paul Feig and Judd Apatow cycled through potential theme songs. There was Ted Nugent's Great White Buffalo. And there were a few others, but then they landed on Bad Reputation. Apatow admitted he had never heard the song until their music supervisor pitched it. Once he did, he was all in, saying it cemented the tone of the show. No doubt. The song's snarling chorus, I don't give a damn about my bad reputation, that was a perfect rallying cry for a series that lived and died by its outsider cred. But getting the song was no small feat. Now, Joan Jett wasn't just licensing it to anyone. So producers had to go directly through her team and negotiate its usage, with Apatow reportedly sweating it until they sealed the deal. But once it was locked in for the show's opening credits, it became a mission statement. It wasn't sugar-coated. It was exactly the screw you vibe that Freaks and Geeks needed, defiant and authentic to the core. The pairing, it worked so well, in fact, that Apatow later joked he was annoyed when Shrek used it after us, feeling like they had staked their claim first. While Freaks and Geeks was tragically short-lived, Bad Reputation has helped brand it as one of the realest teen shows ever made. Plus, it had one of the coolest opening scenes to introduce the Freaks in the Geeks. With the Freaks, you had Van Halen's Running with the Devil, and with the Geeks, you had Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right. Just the perfect touch. They also had an entire episode with Billy Joel songs. It's really cool. At number 9 on our top 10 countdown of 90s TV themes is arguably the most epic opener of the decade. Whether you liked it or not, this one was memorable. I'm talking about ER's opening theme. ER was a fast-paced medical drama set in a busy Chicago emergency room. Created by novelist Michael Crichton and produced by John Wells. Man, Michael Crichton was so big back then. It blended high-stakes trauma cases with deeply human storylines. The show premiered in 1994. It ran for 15 seasons, becoming one of the most acclaimed and influential medical dramas in TV history. And the theme? Well, it's urgent, it's emotional, it's the perfect musical heartbeat for one of the most intense dramas of the 90s. It was composed by film veteran James Newton Howard. The piece blended electronic percussion and cinematic orchestration to match the chaos and compassion of busy ER, of course. Howard scored the pilot and crafted a 30-second main theme that opened every episode. And yeah, it feels like it's life or death every time you hear it. That's how urgent it is. In 1995, the theme earned Howard an Emmy nomination, and it stayed with the show for over a decade, until 2006, when NBC replaced it with this. I don't know what they were thinking, or if anybody knows what they were thinking. Fans wouldn't stand for it, though. Backlash brought the original theme roaring back in ER's final season after getting so many complaints it overwhelmed the mailroom. A full-length version featuring a soaring saxophone solo was also released on the official ER soundtrack due to popular demand. Today, the ER theme still holds its place among the greats. It's regularly cited as one of the best TV themes on the themes list, no matter the decade. Howard once said the theme was built to reflect a sense of hope in the middle of chaos. Amen. All right, coming in at number 8, we got a 70s show on a 90s countdown. It's That 70s Show. So most of this one happened in the 2000s, but it did start in 1998, premiered in 98. This coming-of-age sitcom is about a group of teenage friends growing up in suburban Wisconsin during the late 70s. Of course, centered around Eric Foreman's basement hangouts. It captured the awkwardness and hilarity of adolescence with vintage flair, I might add. Now, the series became a cult favorite thanks to its nostalgic setting and its signature mix of humor and heart. This one screams good vibes and teenage rebellion. Hanging out down the street. But what some fans don't know is that the tune didn't originate with the show. It actually began as In the Street, a 1972 power pop gem by cult band Big Star. For the first season, the theme was a fairly faithful cover by unknown rocker Todd Griffin. But for season 2, the producer took things up a few notches. They brought in 70s legends Cheap Trick to re-record it with turbocharged guitars and much bigger vocals, and a new hook, borrowed straight from their hit Surrender, We're All Right. And just like that, a new TV classic was born. Cheap Trick's version, now officially titled That 70s Song, became the show's sonic signature. It was retro cool, and it felt authentic because Cheap Trick was popular in the era it was being parodied. Ironically, Big Star frontman Alex Chilton never watched the show or even heard the new version ever. It's just crazy. He made a ton of money off it, but he never actually listened to it. Now, the song also took on a life of its own when Cheap Trick inserted an extended version of the song into their set list. I want to mention our sponsor. I have this friend who used to give her kids a fake credit card, the real credit limit and everything, just to teach them financial responsibility. And I remember thinking, what a great idea. And then I discovered Acorns Early, and wow, it takes that whole concept to the next level. It's a smart app and a debit card made just for kids ages 6 to 18. And it helps them learn how money works in real life. Saving, spending, earning, and it helps parents manage it all, from tracking purchases to setting up chores and allowances. As a parent of 2 young kids, I'm all in on this. I only wish something like this existed when I was growing up. I also found out that on the Acorns Early app, you can even open an investment account for your child and learn about building wealth together. It's not just smart, it's a great way to connect with your kids about their future. Head to acornsearly.com/POR or download the Acorns Early app to help your kids grow their money skills today. Again, that's acornsearly.com/POR. Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. T&Cs apply. Monthly subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Up to the number 7 spot, I've got Falling, the theme for Twin Peaks. This surreal mystery drama centered around an investigation into the murder of high school student Laura Palmer. In a small, eerie Pacific Northwest town created by David Lynch and Mark Frost. Man, this series was a blend of soap opera tropes, dreamlike visuals, offbeat humor, and supernatural elements. Premiered in 1990 and became a cult phenomenon and changed the landscape of TV storytelling forever. Moody and mysterious, the theme from Twin Peaks told you straight up this was not a typical primetime drama. Love Agent Del Cooper. This is one of my favorite shows ever.
There's over $10,000 here. That's a lot of Girl Scout cookies.
So in the late 1980s, the late David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti were working on Julie Cruz's debut album, Floating into the Night, I think it was called. One of these songs that they created for it was Falling, performed in full by Julie Cruz with Lynch's lyrics. Then when Lynch and Badalamenti developed Twin Peaks, they decided to use an instrumental version of Falling for the main theme. It's the same haunting melody as Cruz's vocal track, just stripped of the lyrics, with a heavier emphasis on reverb-drenched guitars and ambient synths. According to Badalamenti, Lynch asked him to compose the song from a brief, moody description. The phrase Lynch gave him was "a beautiful darkness in the woods." Badalamenti improvised until Lynch was in tears. That melody became the soul of the show, and Falling made history. The theme became a legitimate global hit. And Cruz's vocal version of Falling had success on the charts as well. Beyond the show, the Twin Peaks theme reshaped the way people thought about TV music. It helped launch a wave of atmospheric cinematic scoring on television. You can definitely hear echoes of it in shows like Stranger Things and Westworld. With haunting themes that feel like characters themselves, countless fans and critics have ranked Falling among the greatest TV themes ever. The theme turned every episode into a dreamscape. Like the show, it still haunts pop culture to this day. It haunts me. What about you? Coming in at number 6 on the countdown, it's one of the most recognizable TV themes of all time, sung by the Rembrandts. It's the Friends theme song, I'll Be There For You. And this one's got a real kicker to it. We talked about it a few months ago, but I've got some new stuff on it. This sitcom was, of course, about 6 20-somethings navigating life in New York. You lived under a rock if you hadn't seen it. Set mostly in 2 apartments in Central Perk, the series followed the lives of Rachel, Ross, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe.
No one told you life was gonna be this way.
It's hard to overstate just how big of a phenomenon Friends was back in the day, and kind of still is. When it premiered in '94, it wasn't just the sitcom that blew up. The impossibly catchy theme song did as well. I'll Be There For You with its jangly guitars and feel-good hand claps wasn't actually the first choice. Originally, the showrunners wanted to license REM's Shiny Happy People. True story. REM, of course, hates that song. It was even used for the show's unaired pilot. I think there's a part of it on YouTube. However, lead singer Michael Stipe turned them down flat when they asked to use it. He just felt like Shiny Happy People wasn't representative of the band, and he didn't want it to give the song any extra special attention. If you've seen the music video, you could probably understand why. So instead, composer Michael Skloff, he teamed up with songwriter Allie Willis to write a new tune, I'll Be There For You. It was inspired by the Beatles' Paperback Writer. And yes, also Shiny Happy People. At least that's what Michael Stipe claimed. What do you think? Do they sound alike? I don't think so.
It's like you're always stuck in second gear.
Ultimately, the Rembrandts were drafted to perform the song because they were available. They did this all in a weekend. And the hand claps, that was an afterthought, a last-minute joke that accidentally became iconic. It's usually how it goes. In fact, the 45-second jingle got so popular, it started out as just a little jingle and then took on a life of its own. Actually, a Nashville DJ looped the short theme into a full-length song, and listeners could not get enough. Radio demand forced the Rembrandts to officially record a longer version. The track topped the U.S. airplay chart for 11 straight weeks. Also hit number 1 on the AC chart and the top 40 mainstream chart, and the band even filmed a music video with the Friends cast goofing off on set. Funny thing is, according to Jennifer Aniston, the cast didn't even like the song, but they rolled with it. Said Rembrandt's Danny Wilde, "We didn't realize we were making a career-defining monster." Of course, the Rembrandts were a one-hit wonder with That's Just the Way It Is.
That's just the way it is, baby.
But they became a two-hit wonder with I'll Be There For You. It's now one of the most financially successful and recognizable TV themes in history. And to think that had Michael Stipe let them use Shiny Happy People, he and his bandmates would have split $4 million a year for the last 30 years. That's how big of a mistake that was. Okay, so we made it to number 5 on the countdown of the greatest 90s TV themes. And for this one, I gotta go with The Wonder Years, the coming-of-age dramedy about Kevin Arnold growing up in the 60s and 70s. Now, technically, I'm cheating a little bit here. This show came out in the late 80s, but the majority of it was released in the 90s. It's more of a 90s show to me. I cheated. Shame on me. Narrated by his adult self, the series explores the ups and downs of adolescence and this family through a lens of nostalgia.
When you're a little kid, you're a little bit of everything.
From the very first note of Joe Cocker's gravelly "What Would You Do If I Sang Out of Tune," The Wonder Years instantly set itself apart from everything else. This is actually my favorite TV show ever.
What would you do if I sang out of tune?
By choosing Cocker's soul-stirring cover of the Beatles with a little help from my friends, the show tapped into the heart of the 60s.
I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh, baby, how
Series creators Neil Marlins and Carol Black actually wanted to use the Beatles' original song. Of course, Beatles songs were all but impossible to license for TV. According to actor Dan Lauria, Kevin's dad, the producer screened the pilot for Paul McCartney himself. He was so moved, he actually called Apple Corps to convince them to let him use it. Even that wasn't enough, though. What the hell? Paul McCartney couldn't convince him? It's crazy. However, they were able to get the next best thing. In my opinion, the best cover of a Beatles tune ever, better than the original. Joe Cocker's Woodstock era version.
would you stand up and walk out on me?
Hey, even the Beatles said Joe Cocker's version was better. With that, the iconic opening montage was born, and for many 80s and 90s kids, it defined the show's vibe. So much so that when streaming platforms tried swapping it out due to licensing issues, fans flipped out. Social media lit up with outrage. One fan put it, "You can't have the Wonder Years without Joe Cocker." I mean, we're not talking about background music here. I mean, the song is the soul of the show.
I say I'm gonna get high.
Even after the show ended, the theme's legacy endured. A whole new generation discovered Joe Cocker and his incredible voice through the reruns. Many didn't even realize that the Beatles were the original. Cocker's version became the definitive one for TV fans, at least. When Cocker passed in 2014, tributes overwhelmingly referenced the Wonder Years, a testament to how deeply the pairing resonated. You're going to love these last four. Heading into the number 4 spot, I've got the theme from the X-Files. Of course, this science fiction drama about 2 FBI agents had everyone on the edge of their seat in the 90s. The truth is out there, right?
Much as you try to bury it, the truth is out there.
Each week, the skeptical Dana Scully and the open-minded Fox Mulder investigated paranormal and unexplained phenomena. As they dug into government conspiracies, alien abductions, and those Monster of the Week cases, their partnership deepened, and the series became a defining pop culture force, blending suspense and an eerie atmosphere into one of TV's most iconic franchises. Man, the show was so big. And the theme song, it matched perfectly. However, composer Mark Snow started out stumped when he started scoring the project, the series. He didn't know what to do. Show creator Chris Carter suggested he draw inspiration from the Smiths' How Soon Is Now. How cool is that? He wanted that for the mood. But Snow, he was still struggling. And then one night, he was frustrated. He was alone in the studio, and he leaned on his keyboard in exhaustion, his elbow. He accidentally played a synth key with a delay effect on it. A ghostly echo filled the room, and it was perfect. It became the heartbeat of the theme. After that, he layered a spooky whistle melody and actually added his wife whistling into the mix as well. That haunting blend, half digital, half human, that mirrored the show's central tension between technology and the paranormal. The theme was a hit and it took on a life of its own. It was released as a single in '96 and actually reached number 2 in the UK and top 10 through Europe. Here in the US, a remix version went to number 45 on the dance charts. But in its original minimalist form, the theme has become a pop culture siren. Parodying on The Simpsons, sampled in YouTube videos, and the X-Files main theme has become the unofficial anthem for everything, for those who want to believe, maybe more than any other theme of the 90s. The X-Files theme, it infiltrated the zeitgeist. Anytime a show, skit, or meme wants to evoke mystery, aliens, or government secrets, those opening bars are the go-to shorthand. Its power lies really in its restraint. Just a few haunting notes are enough to send shivers down your spine. In Snow's own words, it was the biggest accidental success of my life. All right, we've made it to the top 3, and you can't convince me that any other shows would fit in here. Our first entry is a groundbreaking crime procedural that followed both the investigation of crimes by the NYPD and the prosecution by the District Attorney's Office, Law and Order. The show premiered in 1990 and has spawned multiple spinoffs, so many through the years, can't even talk about them all.
These are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories. Not
only is Law and Order's theme iconic, but few TV sounds are as instantly recognizable as the show's opening dun dun, you know. What many viewers don't know, this iconic clang wasn't just a random percussive hit. It was a sonic cocktail crafted by veteran TV composer Mike Post, the great Mike Post. Of course, he was behind Hill Street Blues and Magnum P.I.
See surplus store corner people's
was tasked with scoring a show that balanced police grit with courtroom drama. For the main theme, he delivered a stripped-down jazz fusion groove with shuffling drums, a vibraphone electric piano, synth bass, and clarinet, evoking urban cool and high-stakes justice in equal measure. But the scene change tone is what etched itself into pop culture forever. To create that, Post layered nearly a dozen sounds, everything from a slamming jail cell to a judge's gavel to, bizarrely, the footsteps of 500 Japanese monks on hardwood floors. What? That's crazy. Post called it the clang. The fans dubbed it Dun Dun, and it became the sonic signature of the entire franchise. So Mike Post said about it, "I think of it as the stylized sound of a jail cell locking. By the time Law & Order became a cultural juggernaut, so had the clang. I mean, it was parodied on SNL, referenced on The Simpsons, even trademarked by NBC in 2020. Post once joked, people love the theme, but all they want to talk about is the clang. Still, Post's full theme deserved just as much credit. That slippery jazz guitar and that cool synth rhythm, it gave Law & Order a stylish noir, an edge that made it feel timeless. Even when the cast changed or the courtroom drama evolved, that theme and the clang, it remained constant. At our bridesmaid position, the ultimate number 2, it's the show that changes gag every single week, and it ran for 35 seasons. Talk about The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
This is the show that needs no introduction. It's the only animated entry on today's countdown, or in any of our countdowns, and it just might be the most dysfunctional. Set in the fictional town of Springfield, the show, of course, centers on Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. The Simpsons, and the show satirizes everything. Since its 1989 debut, it's become the longest-running primetime scripted series in U.S. TV history. The theme songwriter, none other than the great Danny Elfman from Oingo Boingo. Of course, the front man, he turned into a film composer and a TV composer. And this deliriously loopy opener might be the most famous TV cartoon theme of all time. Maybe the greatest theme of all time. In '89, he met with Matt Groening, who showed him a rough cut of The Simpsons. Groening asked for something whimsical, kind of retro. He said a crazy Hanna-Barbera cartoon music that never was. Inspired, Danny Elfman composed the entire piece in his head on the car ride home. Within 2 hours, he'd recorded a full demo in his home studio. The producers loved it. Danny Elfman later joked that it was the easiest thing he ever did. The final version is a frenetic orchestral piece. Swirling strings, brass, xylophone flurries. Feels like an off-kilter circus. Now, one fun secret, Elfman and 2 friends actually sing the 3-note The Simpsons intro. Those 3 syllables have reportedly earned him more royalties than all of his film scores. Over the years, the theme's cultural footprint has only grown bigger. It earned Elfman multiple BMI awards, an Emmy nod, and has even been covered by Green Day. Even Weird Al did it. The show itself has produced dozens of theme variations, spooky ones for Halloween, even a ska punk version for the Simpsons movie. When the series passed its 30th anniversary, orchestras around the world performed it in tribute. As Elfman once said, "If I died tomorrow, my tombstone would say, he wrote the Simpsons theme." And it's true. Guys made tens of millions off 3 notes. Now, before we get to our number 1 pick, I've got some honorable mentions. right, so here's the coveted number one position. You gotta guess it. I'd be shocked if you couldn't. It's the only choice. Seinfeld. The sitcom, famously dubbed as a show about nothing, it follows the New York misadventures of comedian Jerry Seinfeld and, of course, his eccentric group of friends, George, Elaine, and Kramer, with his observational humor, his quirky characters, and refusal to follow traditional sitcom formulas. Man, Seinfeld redefined comedy forever.
Nothing for you.
It's one of the most influential and celebrated shows in TV history, probably the greatest. And the Seinfeld theme is no less legendary. Now, instead of a soaring melody or some sentimental piano, it's a funky synth bass riff punctuated by finger snaps, mouth pops, and tongue clicks. Yeah, composer Jonathan Wolff built a rhythm section from his own body. So Wolff approached the project as a sound design challenge, creating a minimalist groove that wouldn't clash with Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up monologue that opened each episode. Remember, that's the key. He sampled his bodily sounds into a keyboard, he layered them over a slap bass synth riff, and he programmed each one to sync with the cadence of Jerry's jokes. And get this, every single episode got its own customized theme, its own variation. Wolff would re-record the bass licks based on the tempo and punchlines of that week's cold open. That's insane.
You know why we're here? To be out. This is out. And out is...
The whole thing was perfectly offbeat, though initially network executives were not sold. But Jerry Seinfeld and co-creator Larry David backed it completely. They loved how weird and jazzy it felt. Wolff's only real misstep came in season 3 when Jerry requested some female vocal scatting to add some sparkle to the theme. Wolff added it to the episode The Note, and he did it without studio approval. When it aired, NBC reportedly panicked. They thought the theme had been ruined. It was pulled immediately after, making The Note the only episode with actual vocals. Over time, the Seinfeld theme became a character all its own. It underlined the rhythm of the show's dialogue and also the punchlines. And in the digital age, its second life is almost as famous as the original run. That slap bass riff, that's funny. It's a synth bass, actually. It's become a meme staple, though.
I have to apologize.
Jonathan Wolff, who scored dozens of sitcoms, he called Seinfeld the career game changer. He turned beatboxing and bass into the most legendary opening theme of the 90s for sure. Man, it's just so cool. Well, that does it for our 90s countdown. So would you like to see one for the 2000s? Or even the 50s? Or maybe a mix, maybe top 10 of the top 5 of the 50s, top 5 of the 2000s? I don't know. Let me know below. This has been a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of great TV themes out there we haven't talked about, like Magnum PI and others. Let me know if you'd like me to cover those. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Make sure to leave us a comment about these themes. What are your favorites? What are your top 10 themes of the 90s? What else did I miss? Make sure to check out our podcast on Apple or Spotify. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.